Because I know there's a lot on the table that you're planning and you have in the works. So
Yeah.
Oh, no doubt about it. We have 3 weeks of games in August. A Gunnar Henderson bobblehead early in the month of August. We just talked about Samuel Masai. We're going to have a t-shirt jersey giveaway of his, a homestand, including a straw hat giveaway. It's 25th.
I'm coming for that.
Yeah, and one of our coolest nights, we are going to have our final Saturday of the year, our second annual circus night, which I think is a unique night in all of professional sports when you're watching a baseball game and watching a trapeze artist at the same time.
Okay.
Welcome to this episode of The Diligent Leader, Mastering Business. I'm Holly Basta, here with my co-host, Kaylee Jakovic.
Hey, and I'm Alex Ficari. Good to have you on today.
And we're so happy to be joined today by the Director of Marketing for the Bowie Baysox, Mr. Adam Pohl. Welcome, Adam. Thanks for coming on and
Hey,
joining
everybody.
us.
Thank you so much for having me today. Looking forward to chatting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to have you here. And I know it's you're in season right now, so you're busy.
Yes.
So we appreciate that. It's hot as heck. We know the temperature's roasting out there. But tell us how things are going for you.
Well, it's been a great year for the Baysox and really a great time in Orioles baseball altogether. As many know, the Orioles have really made a focus on building from within. They've been able to build a great Major League Baseball team, but with that, they still have a lot of depth, great players, and excitement around what's coming up through the minor leagues. And boy, I mean, we've been right here in the front seat of this growth here of Orioles baseball, and it's super, super exciting.
That is great. I'm a big fan of the Baysox, and it's always been nice to see the synergy between the Orioles and the Baysox and how they really you guys collectively have really brought everything together. And I mean, because if you see the players come up through the ranks and, they really start to thrive and get their momentum. And, an organization like yours is doing such great work. And it's also to say it's a ton of fun. So I was really glad to have you on, and thank you for, joining on, because it's, it's great to hear about what's going on with the franchise and everything. So, yeah.
Well, before we dig a little bit deeper on the Baysox and your role, I want to get to know you a little bit more, or our listeners at least.
For our listeners, yeah.
Tell us about you, what you'd like to do for fun. How'd you get involved with the Baysox?
It's a great question. I grew up in a family that was that really has been dominated by music. I was a music major myself, a trumpet performance major at the University of North Carolina, which is very abnormal for somebody working in baseball. My career initially was very broadcast focused. So I have broadcast a few thousand minor league baseball games. I still do basketball in the off season for Mount St. Mary's University, and do some radio work in the DC area as well. But that's kind of my fun hobby job now. And it's about 10 years ago, I was able to run marketing with the Frederick Keys, at that time the Orioles Advanced A affiliate, and I loved it. And I'm so fortunate to be in that role with an incredible team here with the Baysox, and we're having a lot of fun. So for me, I don't know, it's been a circuitous path in a way to get here to Bowie. I've been with the Baysox in one way, shape, or form for the last 10 years, and feel so fortunate to be in this seat.
Well, thank you.
So you guys have a lot of great players. As you mentioned,
Yes.
the Orioles, you've been working closely with them to grow the team and that homegrown feel. Talk about how the team is performing this season.
Yeah, the Baysox, it's a little bit of a transformation in the Orioles minor leagues, which I think is interesting. And what I mean by that is the Orioles had this long run of struggling. So they, in essence, had the top picks in the draft. And over the last few years, we've had many of those players that were drafted in the first, 30, 50 picks, let's say, or right at the top of the draft, like Adley Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson, Heston Kjerstad, Jackson Holiday and the likes. So for us now, it's a little bit of a change. The Orioles are very good, so they're not picking at the top of the draft. But what the Orioles did around 2019, when the new regime came in with Mike Elias, is they also invested heavily in the Latin American market. And we are seeing the first of the fruits of that labor coming up, because when you're signing players from Latin America, quite often they're 16 years old.
Wow.
So it takes a long time for them to get to even double-A baseball, let alone the major leagues. So this year, Bowie's top prospect is Samuel Basayo. He is rated in the top 20 players in all of minor league baseball. So he is a top-notch prospect. And Basayo is from the Dominican. So it's a really, really exciting transition to go from some of these top drafted high school and college American players. And now we're going to start to see that backfilled with some great international talent.
That's phenomenal.
Thank you. Yeah,
You know,
amazing.
and so I'm kind of curious, so you have all these nuances of, bringing people up through the AA, programs and,
Sure.
finding these talents. And I appreciate that that reference to that, case study, if you will, right? Of somebody who's kind of coming up and a success story there. But what would you say is making all of that happen? The Bowie Baysox has a big, task ahead, right? And they have to do
Sure.
this. And you as the marketing, leader, how do you make sure the audience gets the right information at the right time? I mean, it must be overwhelming.
I mean, it really is a fun challenge. You can approach this question from so many different angles.
Yeah.
I work for the Baysox. All of our players are Orioles employees, right? So the Orioles completely control who is on the field. So I have nothing to do, with that aspect of everything. But my team does a great job, I feel, of promoting and telling the story of our players. And that's something that the Orioles are really excited about. They want their fans to know who these guys are when they get to Baltimore. And that is something the Orioles as an organization in totality have done such a better job of in the last 4 or 5 years. With that being said, though, a lot of when you go to the game, when you come to a Baysox game, the majority of the fans are here for the affordable family fun aspect of everything. They're not sitting in the seats breaking down how the left fielder did over the last 7 games, or losing their minds over the fact that the Baysox, might be down 3-1 in the 4th inning of a game, right? So really, that's the biggest part of my job is helping to work with my team to build a promotional schedule and really a way to entice our local community to come out to the ballpark. And we do that in a myriad of ways. And then a big thing that I do is I work in the community to try to tell that story, because it's not just think about it, let's say the Baysox were a restaurant. It's not just about what we put on the menu. We've got to tell people what we're putting on the menu. And that is an enormous focus of my position.
Well, it sounds like what you're really doing is a lot of experience marketing, right? That's
sure, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean, from every touch point, cradle to grave, we call it, especially on the digital side, we call it customer journey, right? But it is really experience marketing, which is more of the hands-on aspect of the entertainment of things as well. And that's, I think, a big differentiator between customer journey versus experience marketing, right? You're really developing it.
And to your point too, is when you were talking about sort of growing the brand of each individual player from a very young age. I think that's genius because you're marketing them, people are getting to know them, they're working in the community, so the community feels like they're connected with those players, and then they might get drafted to the Orioles. And so you've already got that established brand for that player of who he is.
Yeah, and Birdland is, and what I mean by that is the fans of the Orioles in this area are so much more knowledgeable about minor league players than they were a decade ago. When we had Manny Machado, a superstar player, and Manny Machado is a $30 million a year player right now in baseball. When we had him coming up, I mean, he was the number 5 pick of the Orioles. He was the future, the next savior per se of the Orioles. And he led the Orioles to a great run between 2012 and 2016. For Machado, I mean, I felt like that we were kind of educating the public about Manny Machado on our team. And now I've got fans coming up and asking me questions that are in depth about, the 15th top prospect on the Baysox. It's just a completely different world as far as Orioles fans and their knowledge and involvement in the minor league product. But away from that, on the promotional side, it's just so important for us to continue to be as community oriented as possible. And that's the number one thing that I am so proud of about my team. In my few years running marketing, there is not a minor league baseball team that is more connected to the school system than the Bowie Baysox.
That's great.
We are working hard to grow that in the nonprofit and church sectors as well. But we're proud about what we're doing, and we're growing it. So
we see it in the community, what you're doing for the Baysox, and excited to see that growing. And I know all of us have tickets to a lot of the games, so we're excited. But I want to learn more about.
Let me know more about these tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to hear about the promotional nights, the events coming up, because I know there's a lot on the table that you're planning and you have in the works. So
yeah.
Oh, no doubt about it. We have 3 weeks of games in August out of 4. So the month of August is a very busy month altogether. We've got a Gunnar Henderson bobblehead early in the month of August. On August the 4th, on August 10th, we have that's a Saturday night. We just talked about Samuel Basayo. We're going to have a t-shirt jersey giveaway of his presented by the Baltimore Banner. So that's going to be exciting. We have a great homestand, including a straw hat giveaway, which will be good on a hot day, Sunday, August 25th.
I'm coming for that.
Yeah, and one of our coolest nights, Danny Fox, I call her my right-hand man, but Danny put together in working with local circus performers. We are going to have our final Saturday of the year, our second annual circus night, which I think is a unique night in all of professional sports when you're watching a baseball game and watching a trapeze artist at the same time.
Okay.
But that's going to be special on Saturday, September 7th. But we got so much going on. I mean, that's the nature of what we do. And going a little bit beyond the actual events themselves, it's big for us. What we have changed here is we're trying to set our calendar even earlier.
Right.
And then we're able to, as a staff, go out, reach out to the community, educate them about what we're doing. And therefore, if we set our plan early in the off season, in essence, around Thanksgiving time, then we're in a position where we can go really, really maximize what we're doing. So our focus as a staff still is largely on making our weekends as good as they can be. But we're doing a very good job of that, and hopefully we can grow that to a point where we can even put more resources into our weekdays.
So question for you, Adam, what do you think is the bigger challenge, coming up with a schedule or coming up with the content?
That's a good question. I mean, altogether, I think the biggest challenge is a little bit of both. I mean, maybe the biggest aspect of it would be for us to find a way to engage in that community the best that we can.
Sure.
So obviously the fun part is coming up with a promotional schedule, right? I mean, that's kind of the cool creative part, but how do you go out and provide the best avenue to get as many of these different aspects of our community? And our community, of course, is very regional in nature. 75% of our fans come from either Prince George's or Anne Arundel counties, but I mean, we are a regional entity, so we want to reach well beyond that and engage, especially on our weekends, well beyond just a 10, 15, 20-minute drive of our stadium.
So with that, I mean, those challenges, right? Like you said, some of it's a lot of fun. It's creative, it's engaging, but so you don't do it all alone, right? So how do you, as a leader, like what are you doing to kind of guide your team? Like what are your guys' strategies to success? Like, do you have a rhythm? Do you have a process? I mean, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think it's really important to let everybody really be a leader and a manager, if that makes sense. So I oversee our marketing department, but we really have a collaborative process. So there are many, many things that my marketing department handles that I don't even know how to do. I mean, it's the nature of
I
any
can
business,
relate.
right?
I can relate.
Yeah, so I'm not the one that's trying to create graphics.
Yeah.
We have a great person that is a great broadcaster and graphics creator, Andre Magaro. So the big thing for us is that I need to be in tune with the workload of my team. I'm the one that's kind of creating a large part of that workload. And the important thing is to make sure that we're making this a great place to work, that we are getting our work done, that we're executing the plan, but in the same time that the plan is something that is achievable from our staff, which sometimes can be tricky when things happen outside. Like sometimes you got a lot of work to do and it's a game day and it rains all day and we're having to deal with that. So I don't know. There's a lot that happens in professional sports, obviously in that domain, but the most important thing, I think, is we are trying to create an avenue as well for our employees to have these types of leadership and successful moments so that they're able to not just be working a job, but to be using this as a great, great stepping stone in their career, hopefully to bigger and better within our own company.
That's great. I had a question, Adam. You were talking earlier about engaging with the community. Is
Mhm.
there any, or are there any stories in particular that stick out to you where you were able to make, or the team's engagement or a player's engagement was able to really have a big impact on the community in some way that you could share with
Yeah.
us?
Yeah, no doubt about it. And that is in so many ways, shapes, and forms. We are in the highest minority majority community in all of minor league baseball. There's
Oh,
120 teams. We have a higher percentage of minorities that live within a 20-minute drive of our stadium than any team in minor league baseball. So for us, getting involved in the community and bringing out the entire community, even some aspects of the community that might be kind of not a traditional baseball market per se,
yeah.
is very, very important to us.
Well, and I
So if
think
you
people should know we're talking about Prince George's County, Maryland, right? So
correct,
if people
yes,
who aren't familiar where the stadium's located, but yeah, Prince George's
exactly.
County. Yeah.
So a good aspect of that is you kind of see like an ethnicity that says Hispanic, right? But the reality is that the Latino community is so diverse as far as baseball loving is considered, right? If you're
Yeah.
from the Dominican, if you're from Puerto Rico or Venezuela, baseball is everything, right? But if you're from El Salvador, as more Hispanics are in our area than anyone else, you're not really a big baseball person, right? I mean, soccer is your sport. So that's a
Yeah.
good example. How do
Football.
we reach
Football.
out
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
get
football.
that populace out, right, to enjoy our ball games? For us, our reading program, I think, in the schools is our number one success story. I don't think there's anything like it in the country.
Wow.
Last year, we were in 271, 2024, I should say, this season, 271 schools did our reading
Impressive.
program. I mean, that is unbelievable.
Wow.
And we had more than 50,000 kids that completed our reading program, meaning over the course of a month, they read a certain amount of books outside of class. And
Wow.
because of that, we're able to earn free tickets, more than 50,000 kids. So, what that's doing is it's bringing out a very diverse audience to our stadium, right? Because
Yeah.
if your kid, look, if your 8-year-old does something and they come home, they say, look, I work for this, right? Like you're going to go to that game, right?
That's a
So
good
for
point.
us, it's a very, very special program. And what we have seen in 2023, obviously we don't have our final numbers in 2024, but in 2023, our crowd was 30% African American, right? And the Orioles were 21% and the Nationals were 18%.
Wow.
So we are getting a populace out that obviously is not a traditional baseball market, and that
Sure.
is very, very important. Major League Baseball wants to keep this team in Bowie, Maryland,
Yeah.
largely due to the fact that we are in such a diverse market, and the fact that basically half of our crowd is non-white is incredible. There's nothing like that in the entire nation in minor league baseball. We're very, very proud of it.
So with that being said, I have two questions. One, what are the channels you're leveraging to get those mediums, not channels per se, but the mediums
Sure.
that you're using to get that out there? And then how with all that you've been doing, I mean, it sounds like it's fantastic success. How are you kind of guiding the rest of your team to keep that consistency in the messaging?
I think maybe we need to tell that story even more, to be honest, of what we're doing. But I know that a lot of our focus has been, okay, so we're doing all of this within our schools, but how can we do this in other avenues of our community? So I think it's important. It even goes down to like, what music are you playing, in the stadium,
Sure,
right?
absolutely.
That makes the people that kind of is able to be targeted towards everybody that's here, and that's not even just an ethnicity type deal. We are, the heart of our business is young families. So the majority of those moms and dads that have 7 and 8-year-olds are between 35 and 50 years old, right? So there's nothing wrong with playing the new music of today, but when you come to a Baysox game, you're going to hear a lot of music that is popular to people that are 40 years old, right? I mean, you're going to hear a lot of stuff from the late 90s, early 2000s, right?
Yes.
And that's by design, right? So we think about these types of things of who is here, how we can make that populace comfortable, because we want Baysox fans not just to enjoy that game out, but we want them to come back. But I do think we need to think about how we're telling that story, right?
Sure.
One of the ways, this is a very unique thing, but this year we're doing a little bit of it, but maybe we can do more. But we have free parking. Now, there's nothing sexy about free parking, right? That's not the glitz and the glam, okay?
That's exactly what came into my mind.
Yeah.
That's
where you're
not very
wrong.
sexy.
No.
Parking can be
If you
expensive.
go to a major sporting event or a major concert, it costs money to park, and then you're hauling a long ways to get to that event, right? I mean, it's kind of a pain point, okay? With the Baysox, on the majority of nights, I mean, you're going to come in and you're going to park for free every night.
Yeah.
And you're going to walk 2 or 3 minutes, a few hundred feet, and you're there. And everybody, so everybody says, boy, that is something that stands out to our fans.
Sure.
So that's the thing. Like, we need to tell that story. Hey, guess what? This is a very easy, accommodating. It's a fun experience.
It seems like a really good
to come to a game.
overall fan experience, right?
Exactly.
Like
Yes.
they get into parking, it's free. They get to their seats. There's music. There's all of this promotional stuff going on. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, and I think it's great I'm sorry, Holly. I was just going to say, I think it's great for, like you said, you have so many families that attend, because you think about it, you're dragging the kids along. I mean, try taking 3 kids to an Orioles game. I mean, come on. That's especially
that's
young
exactly what I
ones.
was going to say.
Yes.
I think this is a good selling point for families.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you guys have done a great job of, as Kaylee said, enhancing that, kind of fan experience.
And I'll tell you, the funny thing is, I don't really even see the Orioles as like a competitor in any way for our fans. A big reason for that is that when you're going to a Major League Baseball game, you're really going to root on the Orioles. You're going to see the best players in the sport play. The baseball is the experience. It's a piece of the experience. Here at the minor league level, you're able to sit closer to the action for so much, for a more affordable night out. And, in a way, kind of we're kind of battling more with like the movie theater and putt-putt. It's kind of like that, that's kind of more of of our lane per se.
And how? And just to remind the audience, because if they haven't been there before, how many people can actually attend a game, and how many typically see throughout the year,
So
throughout the season?
we have a stadium that seats more than 8,000. On a weekend game, we usually have, somewhere in the range of 4,000 to 6,000 people at a Baysox game.
Wow.
But the great thing is we can really handle those crowds. You don't have to wait too long in lines to get food, things like that. So it's a lot of fun. And again, the kids have a great time. We have a fun zone at the ballpark down the line that's got a carousel, it's got a moon bounce, a big slide. So that's really, obviously the focus of Baysox baseball.
I'm there for the moon bounce. No.
Yeah, Kayla be in line. She'll be throwing kids off to the side.
Do the players interact with the fans at all, or are they?
Yes, I mean it's much easier, obviously, at a minor league level to be able to bring those together. So our players come on the field. We have 3 major signing events a year for the entire players with fans. 1 is just for kids. 2 is for the entire team with any fans. The one that's upcoming is Sunday, September the 8th. And that'll happen between 11:30 and noon before a 1:05 start. But every game, if you're down that first baseline, Baysox players will come out and sign autographs before the game, talk to fans. So it really is a very, very fan-friendly environment as far as the approachability aspect of players. And the cool thing, too, is, again, the majority of the Orioles are former Baysox, and not for one night, right? I mean, Adley Rutschman played 100 games for Bowie, right? Or, 80, 90 games. So the reality is that you're watching players that are on their way to the major leagues, and you kind of get that, like, seeing a famous band in a smaller 1,000, 2,000 seat, venue feel, where you were in the 3rd row and you can see the singer like eye to eye. He's making eye contact with you while he sings, and then a few years later they're playing in the big venue. You're like, I saw that band there. So that's kind of a little bit of the Baysox allure per se, on the baseball side.
Well, I have to say, you guys run a fantastic, operation. I mean, it's funny, when I we first met, I said, Adam's got to be having a lot of fun, because the only thing that kept going through my mind is Will Ferrell in that Semi-Pro movie.
Yes.
Like that's all I kept thinking about, like Adam running around, coming up with gimmicks and like things. I mean, you guys run a way better organization than that. But
we have a lot of fun.
What's that?
We have a lot of fun. I mean, that's a big piece of the puzzle, is to get silly,
Yeah, well, absolutely. Absolutely. That's great.
We have one thing we have this year on the video board is a squirrel that sings Queen. So that, that would be an aspect of that semi-pro.
That's pretty cool.
Right?
A squirrel that sings Queen? Did I hear that correctly?
Yes, you heard that correctly. So come on out and you might see him. Now, it's a video, so this is not
okay.
It's not like a squirrel grabs the mic.
Okay, thank you for that clarification, Adam, because I had a lot of questions.
That's good.
As we start to wrap up, Adam, I just want to kind of get a future outlook, right? What are either your goals or the team's goals for the future, both short-term and long-term?
Yeah, I mean, I think that obviously our team, there's nothing against the Baysox, winning championships, obviously, on the field, but our team's goal is to continue to drive players towards the major leagues to make the Orioles successful. So they are doing a great, great job of that. And I think that's a big piece of our product, is to have an excited, baseball-loving population that's coming and wanting to see the future Orioles of tomorrow, today. For us, though, once again, we are looking to find ways to do even more in our community, to do more to give back, to do more to just get involved and bring a big populace out here. to make this a win-win proposition, right? Because we want people in the stadium, more and more people in the stadium, right? But we can do that in a win-win way, and that's what we're looking to do. So hopefully, over the next few years, we've taken some major steps here recently, but hopefully, in the next few years, we're not tiptoeing forward. We're continue to take some major steps forward as well.
That's good. That's good stuff. And I just want to kind of saying, and as we wrap here, the other part that we haven't even talked about is that as a business organization that's, promoting, you are also offering so many programs to businesses that are in the area that get to also be a part of the community, that can contribute and get involved. And so I bet that collaboration's pretty exciting sometimes. So
yeah, no doubt. Obviously, the more people we bring in, the more businesses want to tie their brand to us as well. So that is a really good thing. Do you mind if I drop one more thing in? Because we've got this crazy concert coming up.
No, please tell us about
the concert. That was going to be my next question.
So we're probably a few months away. But just for everyone to know, Saturday, October 5th, a kind of a once-in-a-generation concert for us. We're bringing Vanilla Ice and major acts from the 80s and 90s. And I love the 90s concert here to Prince George's Stadium. So it's an all-day festival called the Tacos and Tequila Festival, but it's going to be a unique happening. So get your tickets now.
Can we get a Mojo party bus going?
Yeah, hey, there you go.
Yes.
Yeah, but you have some great guests, not just Vanilla Ice, but I think it's like Tone Loc and
yes. I had a lady come up to me at an event. She said, "Oh my God, I can't wait to see Tone Loc in Bowie." I was like, I don't know if you're the biggest fan.
I can tell you.
We've got some other great, we've got Tretch from Naughty by Nature. We have got Kid and Play, Color Me Bad.
Get out, yeah.
It's a 90s reunion.
It's going to be a wild concert. It's going to be crazy. I almost can't believe they're all coming here, but they will be here in Bowie.
Well, we'll be there. That's for sure. Yeah.
We're starting our party bus, so.
Yeah, there you go.
I know, and I'm jealous. I got to work the thing. So I'll be looking at all my friends out there and kind of grumpy as I watch everybody have a great time. I'll have a great time, too.
That's awesome.
We could always call you and do a virtual.
So
you don't feel left out.
Yeah,
I'll be there with you.
Yeah.
So.
We'll FaceTime you from the field or something like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and sharing. It's been great to learn more about the Baysox, about you.
Yes, thank you guys so much for having me. And also, I got to say, let's go O's. We hope the Orioles have a great run here in 2024.
Yep.
I was a little kid in 1983 when we won it all. Cal Ripken was in his second year. Gunnar Henderson is kind of in the same boat right now. So, oh my God, could you imagine if the Orioles win the World Series? I'll break it out. So we are excited.
All right. Well, Adam, thank you so much for joining us here today and being on The Diligent Leader. For those who are watching, it's really important that you like and subscribe. Please also leave your comments and questions. We want to definitely share anything that we'll pass it over to Adam, as well as use it for future episodes to bring you some great leaders, great community programs, and help you know what's going on in the business industries. So thank you for joining, and hope to see you again.